The first question that we have for everyone is, how do you think the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting education? So this could be like how it's affecting you academically, or if you're an athlete, kind of how this has gotten in the way of what you like to do. This can really be interpreted in so many different ways. So whatever way you want to take that, but ultimately, how has this affected your education?
I was just talking to somebody about this. Me personally, I'm on top of my stuff and I get grades. But what the people that are not like that, they like kind of just give them a pass to just go along. So it's like, it's kind of making the system worse than what it already is. And also for like people that are athletes and that, participate in sports, whatever, like I just got my cheer season cut. And so it's like we missed out on so many things. And since it was our last year, everyone got a senior night. We missed out on senior nights too. It's not just about like prom graduation, we missed out on our big event for our 4 years of participating in the sport. So it's like everything is becoming worse. We ain't benefiting. This passing this long. We ain't learning nothing. Like it was hard for us to learn in the classroom. Like how are we supposed to learn from home? Like we're not really learning.
So have they talked to y'all about graduation or anything?
I was talking to my counselor right before this, and she just said that we're turning our books and then picking up our diploma.
So they're not hosting like a virtual ceremony or anything like that?
They want us to record a video with our name and say what school we're going to, and then they're gonna put it on the website. That's it. And then they're having a virtual prom where we sign up, get dressed up, and listen to music. Like it's just like this is sad. Like they having virtual prom where we really just have prom from home. Like, and they want us to like really pretend like we're there. Like I can't touch these people. I can't really talk to them. How am I supposed to like really act like I'm really at prom? That's not gonna work. Like,
right. Are you like even like as motivated to really do any of those things? Like, are you even motivated to take that video? Are you motivated at all for the prom?
I'm not motivated to do anything. Like when I be doing stuff now, I'm like, I really gotta force myself to do anything. And it's really easy just to sit here and be lazy this whole time when we got this big break. So it's like anyone that's actually doing something, like cleaning, anything, you doing anything, that takes a lot because everybody bored, everybody don't have nothing to do. You want to be like everybody else and sit on your butt and not do nothing. So like you have to really take the initiative to get up and move and do stuff. That's why I know too. It's like everyone's motivation is gone to do anything in general.
I really agree with that. Even like I said, I go to Sac State. I've been finding it so hard to stay motivated because like I feel like one of the things that made me motivated was that I never wanted to look like I was the one person that didn't understand the material. And so as odd as that seems, it would motivate me to try to learn and, just be at the level of everyone else. But being at home kind of puts me at this place of like, well, no one's going to know. You know what I mean? It's hard to find that motivation. I'm not even going to see my teacher face to face. So, yeah, I think it's real. And I think that's what like really affects the quality of the education we're receiving as well, too, right? Like I know for me, it's really hard for me to learn if it's not face to face.
Another thing that it kind of exposes is that our problems with the education system are a lot heavier than what we had thought they were, not even just the education system, obviously, and our economic system and all that, but like when you're listening to students tell you what their struggles were in the classroom and then what their struggles are, at home, it's kind of hard to imagine like the school system was ever like designed to actually address those issues. You know what I mean? I was just looking at an article the other day when a student was pretty much telling his teacher like how he learned and all of that, and she was pretty much going back to her teaching method. Well, this is how I teach. But at the core of being a teacher, the core of being an educator is to meet people where they are and get them to where they need to go. So it's like just seeing how much this is impacting us at home and like thinking about those teachers who weren't teaching anything in the classroom. My heart goes out to the students who are with those teachers and are receiving even less education now. So
if I can like add in, coming from Sacramento Children's Home, a lot of the kids that I'm working with, they are very much affected right now. There's a lot of depression going on, a lot of anxiety going on, and a lot of rebellion. I have a lot of kids who are just jumping on the light rail and going places right now, and not realizing the dangers of the pandemic. So yeah, I'm really eager to hear more ideas about how we could deal with these things.
Yes, well, welcome. That's exactly what this whole entire street talk conversation is about today. And just to kind of give those who joined us some background info, this whole entire virtual community is really for us to combat the suicide rates and the rates of mental health that young folks are facing right now in Sacramento, especially with those rates increasing by the day with the whole lockdown. So really what this conversation is just to have a free, open talk about everything that young folks are facing right now, especially because we want to be able to support them in this time.
I actually just like wanted to comment more on like what Diane was saying, because it was kind of like a conundrum of like Diane saying like, yeah, like things are like a lot easier, but like they're actually getting like a lot worse, like in terms of like the quality of education. Because I definitely feel like that too, like being in college, and I'm pretty sure like the high school students feel it like as well, where like a lot of our work is just like so minuscule, and like it's just like so easy to do that like there's really no motivation to put like any effort into like getting it done. And it's like even what like little effort you do put in like to that work, it's like okay, like cool, like I passed, because they pretty much watered down like all of like our education. And I just thought that it was like interesting that like, I mean, not, I guess I'm not too surprised, but just the fact that like a high school student, like a senior in high school, and like also hearing like me, and like also hearing like how Jose like all relates like what Diane like was saying. And so I was like wanting to know like if like Akeem or like Elijah had like similar like stories as well.
I think one of the interesting things about the quality of education and how it's being affected is that it's not happening evenly, right? I feel like underprivileged communities are being hit way harder. If you think about, a student that comes from a more privileged family, they probably have their own room. They probably have access to a computer anytime that they need it. And if at any point they have technical difficulties, their parents more than likely know how to use a computer, right? And can, instantly help them figure out what's up. Now, if we look at underprivileged communities, a lot of times students may not have their own room. They don't have their own space where they could be doing, class on Zoom or whatever that is. They may not have enough computers. And I know some school districts are giving away or lending computers to students. However, those are limited resources, and not all schools are doing that. And then additionally, these students, especially if you're like a first generation student and English isn't your first language, well then chances are your parents don't know how to speak English either, so much less they don't know how to use a computer. So anytime anything comes up, you're really stuck there trying to figure it out for yourself before you can even, get onto whatever work you have to do. And so when I think about that, I think about like the load of like stress that we're putting on students from underprivileged communities. And that's where you can really see the dissonance and how it's impacting, underprivileged communities a lot more.
I believe that most public schools, like they're funded from like the property tax of like the houses that are like around them. So if there's majority of people of color who don't like live like in those homes, like they're not going to have access to like those resources that you're talking about, Jose. Like they're not going to have all of like those laptops like readily like available to them so that they could be able to continue like taking like their education serious. So
I gotta totally agree with you on the underprivileged, aspect of this, especially in my families who, are undocumented or, not primary English speakers. They're not getting the information from the schools. They're not getting the information on how to get the computers. I've had to hook up every single one of them with distance learning resources because they're not getting that information directly from the school for sure.
We wanted to know like how the pandemic has been like affecting your mental health.
For me, I feel like it just makes me like, I feel like I'm just super like lonely all the time because I live in an apartment with 2 other people, but like we're all like in our own little like world, in our own little mind. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck. Like I really have to find the motivation within myself to like really just not sit here on my phone or watch Netflix all day, because it can be like so easy to be like, you wake up at like 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, and next thing you know, you turn around and it's like 4, and it's like, wow, I just sat like all day in bed watching TV. And it's just like it's hard for that transition. But I feel like the past like couple weeks, I really been trying to like really like force myself to just get up and do something and try to be active in some type of way, because I know easy to get lost. For me, I just got furloughed last Friday. So at first I was working from home, and then now I'm like, literally, I have nothing to do all day. I have like the house to myself. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Who can I call? No one wants to answer my phone call. I'm just in here bored. A lot of people I feel like are like, oh, I'm bored, so let me go to Walmart, let me go to Target. And then it's like, now I'm spending unnecessary money for whatever reason. So I feel like just trying to find like a balance between like doing stuff that's productive and just like also like staying active has been a challenge for me, which I feel like I'm starting to do a little bit better with. So
snaps to you. You have some comments in the comment box. Yeah, what's up, Akima?
I'm going to answer the question right quick. As far as mental health, my mental health has slowly deteriorated and like wasted away. That sounds so bad. Oh my God. That sounds horrible. But like, it's so true. Like, it's been so bad, like really, really bad. Like, I scare myself sometimes. I lost all motivation to do absolutely like anything. Like, as far as like getting out of bed, that took all of my mental strength for like the entire day. I couldn't do anything. Like, I stopped doing my schoolwork. The only thing I was doing was writing poetry. That's the only thing I was doing. And I started having panic attacks again, even recently. Like, I had like 2 of them within like the past few weeks. It was like so bad. It's just like the struggle is like truly real, because like you're in the house with people. They don't really know exactly what's in here. Like they don't know what you're thinking. And even if you do tell them, they can't like really, or you can't really explain to them thoroughly your perspective on it, because y'all have 2 different like views on it. Like, it's 2 different sides of the spectrum. Me personally, I feel like if I try to explain it to somebody else, it's going to be a load. It's going to be like a load onto them. So like, I don't really tell people about it because of that specifically. And it like basically just ate away at me like inside. So I kind of just like, just like bleh. It's like there was no like emotion per se. Like there wasn't like a happiness or a joy. There wasn't even sadness. It was just like nothing, just nothingness. I was like, I'm just existing at this point. But I'm not gonna get any deeper than that because I do not feel like crying, and it's the sad truth. But like, I mean, I probably look happy. Honestly, I got like the anxiety, depression, the panic disorder. Like it's excuse my language, but it's like fuck. It's like, oh my God. Sometimes I overwhelm myself with thinking too much, and it's just like, what the heck? What is the purpose? Like, what is the actual purpose? And I just get stuck.
Hey, check
Dang,
this out.
that's dark.
Hey, but it's real though. Like, I'm glad that first of all, thank you for taking that opportunity to be vulnerable with us and like share that with us, because I know a lot of people here are probably feeling the same way. When it comes down to,
I'm like sweating. I'm literally sweating right now.
Hey, get your truth out. However you need to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's your story. Like I said, we appreciate it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I feel you. I was just telling the squad before everybody got in. I'm like, this is terrible on my mental. So I get you. It's taxing. It's really taxing. So once again, I appreciate you for sharing that, and just know that you're not alone there. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to shout you out real quick and just hope that everybody kind of gives Akima the kudos and all the affirmations that she needs right now, especially just hearing how like emotional you were and how emotional you are. Girl, sis, you got this. And I know that like you and I have conversations like one-on-one, and we're going to continue to have those conversations because I think it's really important to do that. I know for me, for example, I relate a lot to how you're feeling right now, Akima, because I grew up in a home where I was the youngest of 3 girls. And, me and my sisters, we were very, very far apart in age. And I felt the same exact way that you felt, Akima. I always thought that nobody would ever understand how I feel or how I was feeling in the moment. And all of those stressors, all of that anxiety and all that depression kind of weighed really heavy on my mindset, especially when thinking about, I need to go to school, I need to get to work, I got to get this done, I got to get that done. And sometimes it can feel very heavy on your shoulders. And so I just want to shout you out and let you know that you are not alone, and that you are very, very strong in being able to articulate that, especially to a group of strangers. You may not know everybody on this call, but just for you to be as willing and open to share that piece of your heart with everyone, I think is really, really powerful and really important to share. So shout out to you.
Yeah, I want to further just give you more shout outs too, because I think that's like what I love about your poetry so much is that it's hella relatable. I feel like even beyond everybody that's like in this room, like everybody could relate to those feelings, like especially now. And even like everything that you were talking about, it makes me feel good to know that you're still at least like sticking to your poetry and that you're still writing so that you still have like something to like pour like that like emotion into. I just want to say love you.
Love you.
I've been feeling the same way. Like a lot of problems I had from like the past, like not being able to sleep and my anger issues, like all of that is like coming back. I got kind of a hold on the anger now because I got into like a routine of doing stuff, so I'm getting better.
Yeah, man. It's not just you on the sleeping pattern too, man. Like a lot of people are a lot more restless right now because they're not exerting that energy. And from a person who has had their fair share of rage complications as well, like I have kids at home, you know what I'm saying, and they like you know they're just trying to be kids and live their life and you know be happy, you know what I'm saying. But like you said, being in that situation where you just have to, you know, being alone and just deal with it, process and all that stuff, it kind of makes it hard to like keep as easy as a cap on it, you know, as you probably usually would. But you know, keep working at it, bro. Like I mean, that work isn't for nothing, you know what I'm saying, like. Every day is you know, it's a mission to work on your, you know, the control piece. But then as far as taking everything else in, I'm glad that you know you came to this group because I mean all of us here will be down to, you know, chop it up with you or talk to you, you know. At least I speak for myself. I'm some of the mentors here, you know. Obviously I don't know everybody here, so I can't speak for everybody. But like I said, man, we all here, we all we got, and we just want to make sure that, you know, we give each other that support system if we need it. So if you ever need someone to talk to, you know, help control your anger and you can calm you down, you can always hit my line, bro.
Yes, and you're like already like on like the right path too. Like it's good that you're already like getting back into like a routine because everybody's routine is like going off right now. And since everybody's routine is off, like they're like, I don't know like what I'm doing. I'm just gonna sleep in like hella late. I don't really know. Like there just isn't like too much structure. And so like at least like when you do have like some sort of structure, like you're kind of like sticking to like the same routine that you had like before like the pandemic. Like it at least brings like some sense of like normalcy so that you're not kind of like stuck like with your thoughts. And I think like the biggest thing that like I've kind of like realized like with this whole like quarantine and like mental health is just like how important the words that you say to yourself are. I think that's like what they say, like the most important words that you hear, like the words that you say to yourself. And when you don't have like friends or like other outlets to be able to like let that out, to have people like affirm you like in that, then that's kind of easy for you to kind of like tear yourself down. But again, I'm still just happy that you're here.
Yeah, and I saw on the chat box, a couple of you were talking about, you know, the difficulties of feeling like you don't have your own space, and you know, I just kind of want to affirm that, let you know you're not alone, because you know, at 22, I'm on the same boat as you, so I actually share a room too, and you know, I have siblings, and that's real. It does get crowded. It does become an obstacle, and it's a little bit difficult. And I think it definitely takes like a toll on your mental health. But you know, I just want to let you guys know like how brave you are for sharing that with us, and you know, just know that we got you, and we want to be that support system for you, and that's why we do what we do. One of the things that helps me, because like I mentioned, I don't really have my own space like that, is I try to find times where like everyone's either asleep or everyone's busy doing something else, and kind of, you know, use that to my advantage. So some days I'll stay up because if staying up means that I get my own space, then I want to take that opportunity, right? And then another thing is I do a lot of art, and so I love to paint, I love to draw, I love all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's a very special feeling when I put on my headphones and I can't hear anyone else, and I'm just in the moment, in my zone, doing my thing. And so, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, may not be into art the way I am, but whatever your thing is, just hold on really tight to that, and, you know, don't let go of that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me push through all of this.
Thank you for sharing, for real. Appreciate you, bro, Jose.
So if you could tell the school systems one thing about what you would want to see implemented into schools once the lockdown is over, what would it be?
I think that for me, it would be more awareness and more acceptance about mental health. I think that I think we can all agree that mental health is something that was never taken as seriously as it should have been. Looking on the positives of this pandemic would be the attention and, the light that is brought towards these issues. And so when I think about things going back to normal, whatever normal is now, I really hope that institutions start to take that more seriously and start to do more for young people, because I think we really demonstrated that, we need those resources.
I don't remember who said it, but it was like earlier when they talk about like meet the students halfway, like you have to teach them the way they learn. How do you even say that? Like someone who could do it like online, like you have to teach them the way that they know how to like learn.
It's just like, how do you like learning how you learn? How do you process information?
Yeah, like if they can teach, like not just like, oh, this is the way I teach, so you're gonna have to get used to it, but like go like actually understand how the student learns and then teach them in that way, or try to do that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think that's even kind of just like along the lines of like what Jose's talking about in terms of like mental health services being in school.
Yeah.
Like, I know like in high school we have like counselors, but I feel like most counselors in high school just have like a reputation of dealing like with bad kids or whatever. I know like at least like when I went to Sac State for a little bit, even then it was still mostly like academic counselors. There weren't really like mental health counselors like necessarily there. And I think like if you're able to have like them like on campus and kind of like in conjunction like with the academic counselors, then you would be able to help students like learn like how like they learn, instead of students just feeling like so like discouraged and being like, you know what, I didn't get it the one way that they showed me, so I must be stupid or something.
Right.
That's me.
And I hate that, because that's most people. Like, that's how I felt like when I was in school too. I was just like, damn, everybody else seems to like understand it like around me, so I just must be like an idiot or whatever. And so it pretty much took me having to take like the initiative and like seeking out like counselors that were outside of the school that were directly tied to like mental health, where I was able to like learn like how like I learn. And like I feel like that should have been something that should have already been in school. Like I shouldn't have gone to like some third party thing to go figure that out with like my mom's insurance. Like that should just be a readily available resource, period.
Absolutely.
No, I'm with you on that. That's real, Aaron.
It's a super important priority. So when you guys were talking about more mental health services in the school, I 100% agree. I think there needs to be more groups. There needs to be more ability to connect, because the number one thing that's going to help with this isolation and this COVID thing is connectiveness. Without connectiveness, you're at such a high risk for isolation, depression, anxiety, everything. And just making connections every day, calling somebody, even if it's like pulling teeth to get you to do it, it's so worth it. Just to reach out and to connect to someone, even if you have nothing to say, even if you're just complaining about how they didn't have toilet paper at Walmart. Just do it, because we are social creatures. We need to connect with each other. And that's like my main advice to everybody, is just keep connecting. Even though I work at a counseling center, I'm surrounded by therapists all day. I still use my EAP benefits, and I still go see my counselor. At least here in Sacramento, I can leave the number to access to obtain those services, because they're still going on right now. Everyone's doing video conference, and services can be given over the phone. So if you do need mental health services, I can put that number in the chat for you guys.
Thank you for sharing. I feel like I need a tambourine. Real. That was real. Like, I feel like from beginning to end, I was just waving. I was like, dang. But yeah, no, seriously, Joe, we really appreciate that. I feel like you dropped a lot of insight in terms of like, what the potential of what can be done. And I think that, if more people took the practices that you and your organization were taking, I feel like we'd be in a better place, honestly.
Yeah. I totally, like, everything you guys are talking about, like, I definitely agree with it. I was about to say what Jose said, but he, like, beat me to it. I was thinking that they should have, okay. Hi. But I definitely agree, because all I see is, like, the kids go to school, they get their education, they come home, but they don't know what's going on at the homes, And so, like, being able to have a space, like have an open space even in class, like before class, every class that you have, like being able to have an open space, to have a circle and just sit down and like get to see where you guys are at as students and teachers, because teachers have their mental health to deal with too as well. So just being able to have that open space and understand each other. And I bet you that school and like even homes will even be like just a better place for you to come, like even a safe haven, maybe even at school, you know. So yeah, I definitely agree, even with Jill. So yeah, kudos.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've seen that I would like to see a little bit more of when everything kind of gets back to a state of normality is I've seen a lot of student advocacy, right? Like I've seen a lot of people advocating for students. I've seen a lot of people advocating for the, the adjustment in the learning style. I've seen a lot of people, advocating for, attempting to trying to get students to connect. But these issues have been going on since before the pandemic started, especially in terms of education. So when it comes down to what I would like to see and how, things to get back to a state of like, quote unquote normal, I would love to see them listening to the students more. There's a difference between reasons and excuses is my point. And like, I feel like we often hear students and their pleads for help as excuses. And I feel like that's something that's not happening right now. I feel like a lot of people are listening to these cries that the students have, and they're hearing them as real reasons that they're having blockades toward their education, and people are trying to find solutions around that. I feel like that same effort, and it's not against the teachers, it's not against anyone in specific, but I feel like, tragedy usually brings people together, and I feel like we need a little more of that togetherness minus the tragedy, if that makes sense.
There's something to say. I agree with that, but I feel like also a lot of students kind of like, I forgot, Akima was saying, like she was saying how like she feels like she doesn't have anyone to talk to, or I feel like some students just don't feel comfortable enough to vocalize what they feel, and I feel like it's a lot of the same students that are speaking about those issues, but it's like it's not, I feel like sometimes it's not the students that really need to speak about it that don't speak about it. So it's like, how do you cater to those students, because I think there is a lot of time, like, there's always like those vocal students that they're like, oh, this student's the most vocal one, so they just think that that's how everyone feels, but there might be other students that feel a different way, so yeah.
Y'all ever watch Remember the Titans, right? Where the coach has every teammate chill with a different person they didn't know, right? Mm-hmm. And they got to connect. I want to see a day where students, like every student on the campus chills with somebody they don't know and get to connect with them.
Nice.
And, like basically to stop, bullying and all the school shootings.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful concept. Yeah,
right.
I think that's awesome.
Great idea.
And sorry, Brianna, real quick. At the end of the day, you're right though. Like people do have to learn to advocate for themselves, but like the school environment is supposed to be the place where they learn to do that. And I feel like in a lot of cases, like you said, people take the loudest student or the most vocal student and they blanket that as the response. But like that's not to say that person is wrong, but that's probably not the most effective way to hear students and to teach people how to advocate for themselves. And yeah, a lot of people learn those skills in college. Like I had a lot of introverted friends tell me, like by the time they get to college and they have to deal with problems for themselves, they learn how to advocate for themselves. And hopefully everybody gets there, but the problem is everybody isn't college bound, and everybody doesn't have that ambition to like be that person, and some people don't know how to get there by themselves. So I agree with you, and I'm saying like maybe it's about us teaching people how we assert ourselves in the world, or maybe it's about like asking them an additional question, because sometimes some people just need an additional opportunity to vocalize what it is they're going through. But I definitely agree, it definitely is a personal responsibility thing. I'm just saying that in terms of the environment where people are supposed to build that skill, I strongly believe that school is one of the biggest environments that you have to learn that skill.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was, first of all, I really do agree with Brianna. And in the same way that, we learn in different ways, we express ourselves in different ways. And I think in a lot of cases, it's a matter of finding that path, that outlet. Sometimes we get kids in the counseling center and they've never expressed anything to anyone about anything. And they've got a lot to let go, and sometimes they have no idea how. And, sometimes we have to start with texting and then move on to phone conversations and then, move on to art therapy. there's just different ways, and it's a matter of probing to figure out what is the best way. Encouragement, always encouragement, encouraging people, you can do this, you can express yourself too, and, just celebrate those little victories. Even if a kid for the first time in a year says, I'm mad today, that's a huge victory.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you, Jill. Are you here in Sacramento at the Sacramento Children's Home?
Yeah. I'm a family partner with Sacramento Children's Home, and I work in the counseling center.
I was asking again because, fun fact, everybody, that was like the first place that I went to, when I went for my mental health services. It was the TAP program, so it's the transition age program, and so it was through there where I was able to have access to all those resources. And kind of going back to Brianna's question about what about those other kids. I think Rex did make a really important point that it should be schools, not even just colleges, but high schools. They should definitely be creating a culture where you're able to talk about your mental health. I just feel from there, then it'd be a lot easier so that those students, they don't end up falling beneath the cracks. But for everybody that's on this call, that's here in Sacramento, I highly recommend the TAP program. It was everything. They taught me simple life skills, how to cook, and they were just really, really sweet to me. And I feel from being there, they literally just held a space for me to be able to just talk. They were literally just my soundboard so that I could just talk and get everything out and help me make more sense of it. And that's kind of what this space is about. And that's even just what our entire virtual Voices of Change concert is all about as well. It's really just holding a space for people who are aspiring artists or artists to be able to come and show us the work that they show us what they've been working on, whether it be poetry, whether it be music, whether it be dancing, whether it be anything, because being an artist is such an ambiguous word. You could fit so many things up underneath artistry. And so that's why we highly encourage all of you guys to be able to show up to that, because we want to bring more awareness to mental health. And I feel the more that we're able to eliminate the stigma that's around mental health, and the more that we create a culture of talking about it, the less likely that we will, I guess, see all of the side effects of ignoring it.
I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Voices of Change that Aaron had brought up. For those who don't know, Voices of Change, we created a community of young artists. So if you have any sort of, talent music, if you play an instrument, if you sing, rap, dance, even if you paint, draw, whatever it may be, we would love for you to be part of this community where basically we get a lot of people and you get to showcase your art and talk about who you are and what inspires you. It's a really beautiful thing. It went really well the last time we did it, and our next meeting is going to be on May 22nd. So if any of you are interested, make sure to reach out and let us know, because we'd love to have you on there. And we're also giving away some cool prizes through that. So I think that's worth mentioning too.
Oh, yes. And if you haven't already did our subscription competition, y'all, we're reading the winners right after this call. So I'd suggest if you go do that competition real quick to enter your chance into getting $50, and you have 3 chances to win. So I'd go and do that ASAP. So that's a subscription competition that really is just for us to show our love and appreciation back to all the love we've been getting on our virtual communities. So social media, everything that we're doing with virtual Voices of Change, all of these street talks that you all are a part of right now. And it's just for us to give back. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll send an email after this with the link of that video. And it pretty much describes everything that you need to do. And so if anyone else doesn't have any more last minute thoughts, I just want to send my shout out. So shout out to every single one of y'all. Thank you for being a part of this. And I hope you all take care, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully next Friday.